What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. For today's video, we're going to be checking out the Transformers Studio Series Dark of the Moon Deluxe Class Decepticon Hatchet, the long-awaited third and final member of the Decepticon Dreads, and despite seemingly being cancelled a near 2 years ago, he is now back and back with a bang, or is he? So as we check out the beast mode, the head sculpt looks sick, and again is incredibly inspired by the Predator. The Dreads and the inbuilt serrated blades are looking awesome, although gonna be a little divisive and say that in comparison to the original version, I really don't think the beast mode is that much of an improvement, and it mainly has to do with how these guys would transform in the film. Unfortunately, not too much of the SUV would really integrate into their beast modes, which is why this guy has been left with a pretty big ass backpack, and may even be the reason as to why that original did transform into a jet in comparison to the actual Chevy Suburban. Another pretty big eyesore for myself would have to be the back towel. Now unfortunately guys, yes, there will be some parts forming required, as this is an additional accessory, and officially I think looks super awkward. Personally, I prefer to instead wedge this in the hollow gap in his back, just to really make it look as if though it is a part of the design, but seeing as it is an additional accessory, if it really bothered you that much, you could simply rip it clean off, and as it is fairly similar in design to these spiked clubs that the Dreads did use during the Mexican standoff, you could also transform this into a full-blown handheld weapon. Now, checking out this guy's articulation, to my surprise, he packs all of the same points as we did see from both Crankcase and Crowbar. So the jaw can be open and closed, which I won't lie, does look wicked. The head can also be spun both side to side, and the shoulders are surprisingly incredibly articulated. If you then make use out of the elbow and the bicep, you can get this guy protecting his own face. Due to him being super ugly, I would imagine that the Autobots would destroy him on sight. The back legs can kick forwards, they can then kick backwards, as well as they're out to the side. The knee is ball jointed, and then finally the ankle can be completely extended, so that if you do decide to stack this guy on 2 legs, you have unlocked an absolute beast. But let's now put him through the post test. Now, firing through some beast mode size comparisons, we are throwing it all the way back to 2011 by bringing out the OG. Here is the BAYVERSE Commander Hatchet. Now, you guys may call me crazy, but I really think there is no comparison to be had here. Old is gold. Proportionally, the original version definitely does match what we saw in the film, whereas I think when it comes down to this guy, seeing as he does transform into an officially licensed vehicle mode, that ultimately took priority. So I'm going to put it this way, guys. For those of you who already own the original BAYVERSE version, then to be entirely honest, I really don't think at the moment there is much need to pick up this Studio Series version. I would most definitely recommend to perhaps wait for this to go on a discount, because in comparison to some of the other Studio Series Deluxes, I do think he ultimately falls kinda short. And for some additional comparisons, here is how he stacks up against the Transformers The Last Knight Berserker. And if we were basing this off what we saw from the movie, then this guy definitely needed to be much bigger. And to truly complete the trio, here we have the Studio Series Crowbar. Firing through the rest of the highway crew, first up we have the Studio Series Deluxe Class Dino, both the Revenge of the Fallen Bumblebee and Sideswipe. And I do think it would be pretty cool if maybe in the future, Hasbro were to reapproach both Sideswipe and Bumblebee in order to recreate their stealth modes. Now, as we check out this guy's transformation, if you've transformed any of the previous 2, then you guys should more or less know what to expect, as I do believe the engineering between all 3 is pretty much exactly the same. So for the first step, take a hold of the back tail, and for now, set it off to the side. For the next step, we are then going to take a hold of these side panels and collapse these here down, and then take the front paw, fold this here backwards, fully extend here at the elbow, spin around here at the bicep, and rest the bicep against the side of the head. Now, whilst you are able to remove these panels when in beast mode to create for a slightly cleaner look, I will say that the points of connection are already super loose, especially when it comes down to that reverse transformation. So you guys may want to look into potentially gluing those into place, as they can become a pain in the ass. Again, guys, do the same here for the second side. Collapse that panel down, take the front paw, fold this backwards, extend forwards at the elbow joint, spin around here at the bicep, and lift the shoulder up and over the side of the beast mode head, so that from a bird's eye view, both arms should be looking exactly like this. As for the next step, we are then going to take the entire backpack and begin extending these panels here backwards. We can then take this entire section, pull this here up and over the top, and we'll snap into the underside of the arms. For the next step, we are then going to bring out the Beast Mode towel and make specific notes out of these tabs on either side, as this will attach onto the underside of the vehicle and connect in between the two dreads to create for some pretty banging weapon storage. You will then take a hold of the knee joint and fully extend this here forwards, take a hold of this back panel, extend this here backwards, and then take the entire foot and extend this forwards. We are now going to make use out of the ball jointed knee and spin this around, so kick the hip all the way up until this does snap there into place. And again guys, be sure to do the same for the second side. Kick forwards at the knee joint, take this panel, bring this here backwards, and then take the entire foot and extend this forwards. Spin around here at that ball jointed knee, and again making use out of that tab, slide it into the slot on the back of the vehicle. We are then going to flip this guy here upwards, where we are now going to take the hood of the vehicle, fold this here forwards, and then take the entire windshield and bring this here down. Now what you'll do is line that tab up with that slot until this does click there into place. And again guys, spin around here to this side and do exactly the same. Once that's complete, we can now take the entire front bumper, compress this here up until this snaps into place, and that is Hatchet now fully transformed. Decimating his way onto the highway, here is Hatchet now fully transformed into a proper Chevy Suburban, and looking to be incredibly close to how he did appear in the movie. I've always thought that it was super cool from a design standpoint that despite how unique the dreads looked when in their robot modes, they all transformed into exactly the same vehicle mode, and seeing as this guy is officially licensed, the details are on point, not to mention that all four wheels are pinned on, so when it does come down to pursuing Sentinel Prime, he should have no issues in doing so. Now, firing through some vehicle mode size comparisons, on the right hand side we have the original Transformers The Last Knight Berserker, who really became the blueprint for all of these Studio Series dreads, as to go back to my earlier point, despite how different they all look when in their robot modes, their vehicle modes with the exception of some minor paint differences are all exactly the same. And that can be said as we whack out Crowbar. Honestly guys, despite the issues that I do have in regards to Hatchet's Beast Mode, it's gotta be said that to have all three of these fully transformed in pursuit of Sentinel Prime looks straight up sick. And as the dread screen time was sadly cut short by the Autobots, let's fire through a few of those. So first up we have Dino, Bumblebee, and Sideswipe. So, wrapping up on this review for the Transformers Studio Series Deluxe Class Decepticon Hatchet. The figure is definitely a mixed bag, and I'm gonna be entirely honest guys, I would most definitely recommend to wait for this to be put on discount, because whilst I am a massive fan of Transformers Dark of the Moon, for that Deluxe Class price point, unfortunately I really don't think this guy is nowhere near as good as some of the other more recent entries, such as the Transformers 1 Optimus Prime. I would love to get your guys' thoughts on this Dark of the Moon Hatchet down in the comment section below. I want to thank you guys all so much for watching, and until my next review, transform and roll out!